As I said earlier, my name is Ryan Gniadek. I'm the LEC chair for the Student Engineers Council, and I'm going to be going over LinkedIn basics. So LinkedIn, essentially you should think of it as two things. One, kind of a professional website showcasing yourself, but really more specifically, a extension of your resume, because the resume you use at a career fair is pretty much limited to one page. So that limits what you can put on there. So LinkedIn's a really great opportunity for if a recruiter wants to find out more information about you, they can go and get that information in a more verbose format. So the basics of a profile, your profile picture. Make sure your profile picture is professional. It doesn't necessarily need to be formal suit and tie type picture. I know both of the examples are, but just make sure it's something with you looking straight at the camera, not a group photo that's cropped, not a photo that you and your friends took out when you were hiking or going to sunflower fields. Make sure it's a professional photo of you looking straight at the camera. The tagline, make sure you summarize your brand in one line. So I purposely chose two different examples that went a different way with this. Tony made a point to talk about his internship that he's doing right now / co-op and talk about his education, whereas Ali talked about a student leadership position on campus. Both are okay and neither is incorrect. It's really about what you want the first thing that the recruiter to know about you to be. So just choose that strategically. Cover photo, it should be something relevant to your brand. What never fails is just a generic photo of Virginia Tech, or if you have a photo of you at an event like Tony does or something else that's a professional photo that would be good as a cover photo, you're free to use that as well. And then the location, LinkedIn will give you the choice of setting it as your metro area or as your exact address. I highly recommend choosing your metro area. I, for example, live in Gaithersburg, Maryland. The recruiters don't care that I live in Gaithersburg, Maryland, at least from a LinkedIn perspective. They care that I live in the Washington, D.C. metro area. And that's what's much more important. And that's what signifies location for a job. So that's what I would recommend. More profile basics. Personalize your URL. So the default LinkedIn URL is what I have under the bad section. That's my dad's LinkedIn profile. And it just has first name, last name, random number. That's not good. You can't put it on a resume. It's not easy to type. You can easily customize your profile in the settings with this little box here to have linkedin.com/in/ whatever you set it to be. I would recommend just first name, first initial, last name, something that will be easy for them to type if they look at it on your resume, and then write a good summary. So Molly just talked about elevator pitch. Your summary is basically the written form of your elevator pitch. So I chose two examples here. And it should take about 30 seconds to read. So for example, Vifa's elevator pitch is, hello, my name is Vifa, and I'm a second-year undergraduate student at Virginia Tech pursuing a double major in computer science and ISC, along with a minor in math. I'm currently seeking a summer 2021 internship in fields of software development and program management. That is perfect, and I think it would satisfy Molly's requirements right there. It's short, it's to the point, and it says what you want. That's exactly what you want in the summary, and that's the first thing that the recruiter will likely read when they see your profile, beyond the cover photo, profile picture, and tagline. Experience. This is really the core section of your LinkedIn profile. It's employment and work. On your resume, it would be your employment or work experience section. LinkedIn just calls it experience. This should contain internships, co-ops, professional programs, or externships. That's maybe a little less common for engineers than business majors, but nonetheless, jobs and research positions, TA positions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is a bit of a controversial opinion, but I don't think it should contain extracurriculars, volunteer experience, et cetera, unless if the section would be empty otherwise. And I'll get to that later, but there's other sections on LinkedIn for that. And I just think that when you're, as Tony mentioned during the resume section, what they care about most is job experience and relevant technical experience. So that's really what should be most prominently featured in your experience section at the top of your profile. The next section is education. This kind of disagrees with what's in the resume section, but like I said earlier, LinkedIn, you have the opportunity to have more detail. So include high school and college on your LinkedIn profile. Just gives a little bit more background about you. Make sure you have proper start dates and end dates. You'd be surprised how many people have that set incorrectly. You can use Virginia Tech or Virginia Tech College of Engineering for your college. Both are pages that will populate with the Virginia Tech logo and all the information. And I see it both ways. And I don't really think recruiters have a preference one way or the other. And then this part is optional, but you have the ability to fill in with activities and societies, GPA and focus areas and minors. I don't think that's required on a LinkedIn. GPA maybe a little bit more so is recommended, at least for college GPA, especially if it's something that you're proud of, but it's not like a resume where if it's not there, they're thinking you're hiding something, because there's really less of a convention around it one way or the other. License and certifications. This section is much less common, but if you have certifications, there's no harm in including it. Even something like CPR or lifeguard certification, you may as well. It's a conversation starter. Maybe the recruiter was a lifeguard in high school or something. I don't know, but something good to include. And then the other thing is LinkedIn Learning. If you're like, oh no, I don't have anything to put on my LinkedIn profile, I don't have anything to put on my resume, LinkedIn has a great resource called LinkedIn Learning, which is an online course library that's made free to Virginia Tech students or students in any other higher education institution. So yes, go ahead, take LinkedIn Learning courses. I had to take one for a class I took through Pamplin last semester. So I have that on my LinkedIn profile because I took the course, so I may as well display it. Volunteer experience. So this is maybe a little bit of, there's mixed opinions on this. I think any extracurriculars or positions with leadership positions within organizations that you're not getting paid for, that you're because you're not getting paid, by definition, you're volunteering your time. I think that's appropriate to go in the volunteer experience section. Utilizing this over the organization section, we'll talk about later, has advantages because of the increased visibility. You get the logo, you get the description, you get the bold text. It's much more visible. Skills and endorsements. Put your skills on LinkedIn. Unlike your resume where you're limited by one page, you can really add as many skills as you would like, and there's really no harm in doing it. All you're doing is making yourself appear in more search queries, which is only to your benefit. Ask your connections, especially people who might have a lot of connections, maybe a former manager, a former research advisor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to endorse your skills. I chose Dr. Watford as an example here because she had lots of endorsements for her skills. So yes, and then return the favor and endorse the skills of your connections. So if you have a connection with somebody and see that they have these skills and, oh, I know that I can vouch for this skill, feel free to go and endorse them. And then people will see that you support their skills there. And that also links back to your profile. So it helps you to help them. Accomplishments. So this is kind of the catch-all section of everything that isn't at the top of the LinkedIn profile. It includes anything from publications and patents to test scores. Not that I would advise including that. Some people still have their SAT score on their LinkedIn, which I really think at like kind of what's the point? No one really cares anymore what you got on the SAT. To organizations. So organizations is probably the main one. Courses is another big one. Honors and awards. And then projects. The one thing I will say here is that a lot of the sections on LinkedIn are redundant. So I would not hesitate to, if you feel something is appropriate under multiple places, it's not necessarily bad to repeat, because the recruiter is generally going to scroll down to the section that they're most looking for. So if they scroll down to the organization section and that's where they're expecting to see your organizations, it's good to have it there. If they scroll the volunteer experience, you want to have it there. You want to have the appropriate information in the section where they're looking, and you're not limited to just one page like you would be on a resume. The next thing is, once you have your profile built out, you want to engage with your interests and engage with your connections. Follow companies, groups, schools. They all have LinkedIn pages that you can follow. And when you follow your page, it will take a cross section of the pages that you like and display that at the bottom of your profile. So a recruiter could see, oh, these are the things that they're interested in. I think I actually stole this from Molly's profile, but it shows different companies that she may be interested in or follows, and can help a recruiter get an idea of what her interests are. And then comment and like updates from your connections. So this is from my profile, and it just shows recent comments you have, recent posts that you've liked, recent things that you've shared. And I've read that recruiters like to see that you're active and engaging with your other connections. So, and it's also just good to see that you're using the platform regularly. And also, it always helps to follow up with old connections, because you never know when they'll come back to help you. Then the other thing is reach out. So after the career fair is over, you just met a recruiter. How do I follow up? I sent that last message on Brazen. Well, connect with them on LinkedIn. So when you go to connect with someone on LinkedIn, you can search them up and it'll ask if you want to customize the invitation. I highly recommend doing this. Add a note to the invitation. So just using my dad's profile as an example. Hi, Pat. Thanks for taking the time to talk at Engineering Expo earlier today. I've just submitted my application to Comic Sans Incorporated and look forward to hearing back from you. That's perfect. That's short. That's succinct. And you're also limited to 300 characters for that initial message anyway. So I would highly recommend doing that. That way they remember you, and it's not just, oh, who's this random student from Virginia Tech connecting with me? And then cold messaging. So I just kind of threw this in there because it's something that people sometimes do and sometimes don't, depending on your comfort level. I've heard of people actually getting internship opportunities from cold messaging. So the way to do it is you search the name of the company, the position you would want, and then you filter by second or even first degree connections. You may as well see if you're already connected with someone with a job you want, and filter by school. So add Virginia Tech and Virginia Tech College of Engineering, and reach out to alumni and just ask, hey, I really find your job interesting. If you ever have time, I'd love to take 30 minutes and chat. And there's blog posts online about like how to craft the perfect LinkedIn cold message and all this stuff. But that's like a way of, let's say that you don't get what you want at Expo and you're in the winter and still want to reach out to people and make connections and see what's out there. The important thing here is not to make it about recruiting. Because that's not really what it's about. It's about growing your network, engaging with people who have been in your shoes before and just learning. And that can lead to opportunities down the line. So this is always a good, I guess, fallback. Or even if you do get what you want at Expo, it never hurts to grow your network and engage with Virginia Tech alumni. And with that, I'm here to help. We'll have the Zoom session afterwards. I'd love to review your profile, and feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or send me an email if you want to ask questions afterwards.
Thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Molly. And again, thank you, Tony, for your amazing presentations. I hope you guys got something out of there.